Hi, parents and caretakers. I'm here sharing this information with you because it's something that I struggled with, and I hope to pass on some wisdom and information that can help you better understand why your children are acting up and how you can fix those problems.
I can do it.
Your kids are supposed to be naughty. You might think I'm crazy, but hear me out. In order for children to grow and learn and understand things, they need to physically touch them, feel them, understand how they work, put them in their mouth, see if it tastes like food or not. Break things. That's how they know how they come apart and try and come back together later on. This labeling them as naughty or misbehavior might actually just be you having control over something that you can actually let go of. Oftentimes, a lot of what they do is not a huge deal, but we have such need for this order and control that we get worked up and angry and we want them to stop and basically just sit still and do nothing. But that's not really what we want. We want our kids to experience, to test things, to learn on their own. If we're just telling them things, they don't really grasp it as well as when they do it on their own. Now, yes, kids don't need to make all the mistakes that we have made ourselves, and that's why we pass on stories and wisdom. But there's appropriate time and place for that. All right, so when a kid is acting out, they are often dysregulated, or they are hungry, or they are tired, or they are seeking attention. So before you start to get angry and yell, take a breath. If you can't control your anger, take a walk into a different room or outside, come back and assess the situation. Ask them why they're doing what they're doing. Ask yourself, why do I think they're doing what they're doing? Oh, I haven't been with them all morning. I was on the phone with a client. My other child was needing me. Now this child is asking for me to see them, and the only way they know how to do it is to act out or to cry or to get loud. So take a moment and reflect. And if you can't in the moment, maybe later on reflect, and the next day you can apologize for not giving them that attention they asked. You can, try and make it up to them with something intentional set up for them and you to do.
Look how long this is.
I see. You done with your sword? Our children were gifted to us for a reason, and they have their own paths and journeys in this life. They were not meant to be put here to be put in a box, a conforming box that they don't step out of. If we are the ones stopping them from discovering or stepping into their passions and desires in this life, just because of our own beliefs of what they should do or not do, this can cause some real limitations in their future. Instead, if we are the ones helping them to feel freedom to explore, be brave enough to try new things, be creative, and maybe they're cutting out a cereal box instead of paper, but really they had an idea and you kind of just stop them and say, oh, don't cut that, we need that. Do you really need that cereal cardboard box, or can you let them move forward with what they were starting to explore? And if it's something that you don't want them to cut, then you can give them other options as to what you think they might be able to cut or want to cut. You want your child to put the scissors back when they're done with their cutting, and they don't. They leave them on the table. Give them a reminder. Say, hey, I need you to put those scissors away because we don't want little brother to get them and hurt himself. Or, uh-oh, these scissors are not in their home. What if we lose them and then you won't have scissors next time you want to cut something? It's important to put things back where they belong so that we know where they are. We know where to find them when we need them next. What do you think about that? Okay, is your kid freaking out because you poured the cereal and they wanted to pour it and you forgot that they're trying to do things on their own? even though they had just asked you yesterday for you to pour because they were too tired to pour it on their own. So every day is different, but a toddler or a young child may be upset for totally different reasons, but they're just putting it out on this cereal situation. So also try and reflect, is something else bothering them? Because this seems kind of like a tiny thing that is not a huge deal to me, but to them it could be a big deal, of course. But think, is there something else going on? Was brother or sister just mean to that child? Do they need to go to the bathroom? Are they really excited about something and they can't kind of hold in their emotions? So take a moment. Always good to think and ask yourself. And if you don't know, you can sit and ask your child. Sit with them eye level. Take a moment with them. Breathe and see if anything comes out without interrupting them. If a child, even a baby, picks up an acorn on the floor and puts it in their mouth, they will spit it out. They will taste the tannic bitterness of it and spit it out, the rough hardness of it. They will spit it out. Now, if they've got it in for a while and they're rolling backwards and you think it's too small for them and they could possibly choke, sure, take it out. But your energy around this situation might be worse than them just experiencing it and learning on their own to spit it out and not pick those up anymore. You coming over and say, oh no, don't eat that. You could choke, you'll die, is going to give them negative energy towards things they find on the floor or nuts and things, and not let them explore their natural world with a sense of curiosity. And if something did fall on the floor in your home and they're picking up and putting it in their mouths and you're afraid there's dog hair or dust on it, they will be fine. Our bodies are meant to process this world and build their immune system by exploring and incorporating their bodies with everything. Now, if you're wondering why your children aren't listening to you when you've told them something 3-4 times, maybe it's because you are telling them what to do too often. You're repeating yourself too often. Sometimes you might tell them to do something and they don't do it on your schedule. But if you just ask them once, just wait. By 10 minutes, they might do it. And if they don't, you can say, hey, did you forget what I asked you to do? We really need you to do this before we go out. Make sure you don't do, if you do this, we can do this. It's like, no, this is your responsibility as a child, as our family member. We're just not going to have dinner until these things are done so that we keep order in the house. And eventually they will get to know this. The problem with consequences and bribing is that then they always want something for something they do. So, I'm not going to clean my room until you give me dessert, or that's not how it works. You make sure you're in charge, and you just tell them why we need to do things. When you explain to children why we're doing what we're doing and why they need to be a part of this family and this unit for healthy stability and growth. And if you're asking yourself, why are my kids not listening to me? When they talk to you and tell you things and show you things, are you fully present with them? Are you fully listening to them? Do you interrupt them? Do you do things right away when they ask? Maybe not. So it's easy for parents and caregivers to get upset with something that seems so obvious or easy for you. So if a child pulls something out of someone else's hands and says, that's mine, then you come up to them and say, why would you do that? That was in their hand. Can you just ask? Okay, this is shaming the child. I know it's hard, but take a breath and know that that's not the kind of behavior you want to teach your child to do to others, or to parent their own children. So the better we are as parents now, the better our children will be to their future friends and family members. Instead of shame, we can do skill building, okay? You take them aside and say, hey, I see that you really want that, but it hurts somebody when something gets pulled out of their hands. What do you think we can do to change that? How can you make this better? If the child is not able to come up with an idea, you can say, what if we do this? What if you come over with a truck and say, hey, would you like to trade? I can give you the truck and I could borrow the doll in your hand. and see what happens. Go from there. But we want to teach skills. Oftentimes kids don't even know the words or skills that they can use, even though they might seem very obvious to us. And these types of skills, you can do practice scenarios with your child. You say, hey, how about I hold the truck and you come over and ask me for it. So then you go ahead and practice. And if they're not up for that, later in the night when you're doing story time, you can incorporate this type of dialogue with different characters, and this will sink into their minds as they drift off to sleep. So there's no easy, straightforward answer. Every scenario and situation is different. But what's important is your attitude around it. Can you laugh it off? Can you let go of this control? Can you allow them to mess up and make their own mistakes? Can you step up as a person and be a good role model for your child? Can we stop shaming them and help teach them skills that they need in order to move forward with different situations as they grow? All right, y'all, I hope to help in some way today. Thank you for listening. Please comment if you have any questions and subscribe, because I'll be posting part 2 of this video soon.